Okay, I think we're live. Sorry for the delay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we're gonna blow through this site. I think we can really make some good progress. You can see right now, this is kind of where we left off. I did add some buttons here and links for us to play with today. But otherwise, this is pretty much where we left off on the last live stream. I have a new repo for you it's a starter kit, so you can go to it'll be in the description when I'm done with this stream. And it's also in the description of the previous two 11Ds site building live streams. So you can go and use that code to follow along. It does not have any content, so that you can just, create your own tips. So this stuff won't actually be there, but otherwise the site is the same. So the card structure, the CSS, and I'll also be adding the SAS code that we work on today into that repo as well. So there won't be content in that site, but it'll still be the same thing, so you can follow along, or you can just grab the final version when you're done with it, when we're done with this. So yeah, let's dive right in. First off, I'm really not happy, of course, with this weird, it's all the way at the edge of the browser, right? We have not taken care of pretty much anything to do with the layout other than just getting the cards to have little content or columns. And so let's just do that right now. There's a couple of things I've been thinking about with layout, because I do love the way that the Bootstrap grid works. It's also a little bit hard to implement, especially offhand. So I'm going to try and do a more simple layout first, and then if we go back and refactor, maybe we start to create our own, shortcut to the Bootstrap grid kind of a system, using our own SAS mixins and files and things like that. So let's head over to the code. And we'll be playing around in the CSS today. So I'm gonna jump into layout. We already have grid from last time, so this is just for our cards, right? So yeah, now we need to figure out the general page layout. So the first thing I want to look at is our homepage. Okay, so there's nothing. Yeah, we just go straight into the content with the index.html. So I'm wondering, I'm gonna go up to the base, yeah. And we can see I do have a little bit of structure. We'll take care of this. Maybe not this time, but definitely will. This is for accessibility. Probably can't see that very well, can you? It's a little better. There we go, much better. So yeah, this skip to main link is for accessibility, so that if you're using a keyboard and you're tabbing through, you can actually just skip through the navigation and get to the page content if that's what you're looking for, if you're already on the right page. So that's really important. I feel like that's important, so I made sure that was in there right from the get-go. So we'll take care of the nav today though, for sure. And then, yeah, as far as the other structure that we have to work with, we have the main element here, which honestly, for this is really, really tricky, because sometimes it doesn't make sense to put your main outside of the content, just because it depends on how the rest of your site structure is. And I think, since, again, this is a resource website, so we're just basically, it's a large index of just kind of random email tips, email design and development tips. And there's not going to be a lot of here's our newsletter page, our blog page. It's not a typical marketing site. It really is just informative and kind of a list of resources. So in that case, I think I'm going to keep this main on the outside of the content. If you're doing another type of marketing site or some other website that has more complex structure, more complex uses for it, maybe more pages, more just more depth to as far as like different types of content pieces, then I probably would actually put this on every page template, not the base. So I hope that made sense. But basically, yeah, I think we can put our grid on this main element and then our nav element. So we're gonna just use the semantics to be our structure for the grid. So now I've worked that out, let's go back over to the grid, and I'm gonna go up above this. We may actually, well, I think it'll be fine. Okay, so here's the thing with grid, because like I said, I told you before, I'm not at the intuitive level just yet with CSS grid, so I have to kind of like look through things and see what is it that we're doing and figure it out from there. So I know we have our nav right up here, and so we're gonna need a place, a row for the nav to be full width, just because I like to have navs with a specific color, or at least a border that separates it from the content. And so we don't want to have, so we want to have the ability to put in a nav that's full width, make the rest of this content cinched in just a little bit so it's not right up against the browser wall. And then we will need a footer as well. So we might as well just set that up. Maybe I'll just throw that into the HTML right now. Let's go ahead and go in here to, where do you go? Base. And let's put in our footer right now. Footer. And we'll just do very simple copyright 2023 not defined tech, and save that, and let's check this out. Oh yeah, it's working. Oh, you can't see that. really tiny at the very bottom there we go. So yeah, now we have a footer to work with, and yeah, let's dive into setting up this CSS grid, because that will help us out a lot. So I'm gonna close this for a second. So let's see, we have a nav and a footer, and I'm gonna combine these two because right now they effectively do the same thing. They're full width, they go all the way across the screen. Is this correct? Yeah, well, actually, you know what? Let's give them a background color so that we can tell the difference. We'll do black for now, and then the color will actually just be white. And this way we can just see how we're doing with these, with the grid. And then I think because we had done, let's see. Yeah, because it goes right into okay, so it's right in the body. So I wonder if we can do this on the body itself. I'm going to select the body of our HTML document. And this is where we're going to say display of grid. And we're going to do grid, let's see. We're going to do grid template rows, because we know that we need a nav, the main content, and then the footer. And I don't anticipate needing anything else just yet. We'll see. Repeat. We're gonna have 3 sections, and they're all gonna be the same, basically, I guess. Ooh, I don't know if I like that actually, but we'll see. There's not gonna be a gap. We don't need a gap, so I'm gonna go ahead and restart here, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we can see, first of all, my skip content is outside of the nav. That is correct, I believe, although that may create some problems, so I may actually need to put that inside of the nav itself. But then again, I tend to do this as an absolute, so maybe not. Maybe it doesn't matter. You know what? I will put it inside the nav bar. So we'll do that. Otherwise, we see, okay, it is full width, so I didn't need any, like, you know, and same with the footer. Okay. Okay, so we're at least in a semi-good place so far. Yeah. So let me go fix that right now with our... I want to put this, move that down into the nav. And that just created a massive problem. Let me show you. Okay, now it's like huge. So let's just take care of this right now then. Just to be safe here. Let's do a new... This can be in our base class. Our base, like, our abstracts and then base. So I'm going to create this visually hidden class, and actually, you know what? Just because visually hidden, this isn't just because it's, so I need it to be positioned absolute, so I take it out of the flow, so hopefully it stops making that huge black box that we've just created. So I'm going to change this to skip, just skip, and then I'm going to make this position absolute, and then yeah, I think we just do like a top of like -500 or something, 500 pixels, and then a transition here, and I'll just say all, sure, 0.15 seconds, might be a little fast, let's do like 3.5, and then when, let's see, and then for skip, and let's see, there is a something I'm looking for. Oh, it's just one. Focus visible, I think. Or no, let's see. Is it focus within? I think it's focus within. We'll see. Okay, and so what I'm doing here is I'm using this pseudo, or not, I guess, is it pseudo? Yeah, pseudo element. Anyway, the state of focus within, which should be when you tab on it with a keyboard, but not when you not when it's focused by clicking on it, basically. Like it's very much, yeah, it's tied specifically to the keyboard, so you have to tab to it, is what I recall. So we're gonna say that we're gonna reverse what we've done. The top is now 0. So up here, normally it just kind of hovers out in space, and then when I tab to it, it's going to suddenly drop back down to 0, so that we can see it. I think we'll want to just do like a little bit of padding, and you'll see why in just a second. And then I'll do a background color that's a little bit different, just so that we can see what's going on here. So color will still be white. Whoops, white. And probably want to transition right there too, just in case, for the going backward. And we'll see, that may be incorrect. I can't remember if the top is animatable, if you will, with CSS animations. So we'll see. The last thing I need to do is add this skip class to here. So skip, and that did get rid of it. If I hit tab, oh, there it comes. So it does animate when you do that. So that's good to test. So I'm just using my tab key to when I tab and the very first thing on the page is the skip element. So then I can hit enter and skip down to the content. But we're still getting this massive black hole here, so I need to, let's see, maybe we'll just throw on like a min or a max height for our nav, or even just define the height, because usually I usually very, very much avoid doing a height on anything, but with a nav bar, I think that's an acceptable exception. So let's do that now. I'm gonna do nav. I'm just gonna say, like, we'll do a max height for now. We'll say like 2 rem. See if that changes anything for us. Oh, there we go. And it is still massive, and it's adding. Okay, so that clearly did not work as I expected. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, you know what? I have another nav. Okay, so we need to add, okay, that's the other problem, is I did add in a breadcrumb class. I forgot that I had done that. So it hasn't been working though, so I've just been kind of ignoring it. So that's down here. Okay, so I've got, you know what? I'll put this under. Oops. Come on. No, that's not what I want. There we go. I'm gonna put that under the main for now. That's not an actual fix to this problem, but I do want to also just, we'll put in a class here just to help fix that in the future. Actually, I'll make this an ID because there's only going to be one header nav, and that way we just have something that's very clearly calling it out, for that specific element. So now we can see that we still have a kind of a weird box that needs to be a little bit taller, and then we've got a huge amount of room here. So let me see. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not actually sure why it's looking so massive, but it probably has to do with, okay, body grid. Let's check out what's going on here. All right, so we can see here's our first cell and our second row, I guess, and then here's that. Okay, so it's like, it's probably the fraction then, where here's what I'm guessing is happening. Since this content section is this width, you know, this height, I mean, it looks like it's mimicking that same height basically on the footer and the header. So I don't know that that's for sure what's happening, but that could be the case. So let's see, let's not do FRs because that does not make sense. And let's go back in and change this up. So grid. First of all, yeah, we needed more room on the nav, but let's get the, let's see, 1FR. So it shouldn't be equal. That, I think that's the problem. I'm doing equal fractions and there are 3 rows. So it yeah, that makes sense why it would have done that. So let's do, instead of this, let's go with let me just check, see if I have anything in my notes, because I've got some notes on the side, just to make sure I know what I'm talking about here. So, okay, I think what we can do is actually change this to, I think we can define what this is actually. So maybe we actually don't need this. So I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to define the basic heights. right here, and I'm gonna say let's do 4 rem. That's gonna be our first row. That's our header, and then we're gonna say, I think you can just do. Can you do 1 FR there? And then we'll just do another 4 rem. So it's kind of like a sandwich where we have small, just take up the space, and then small again. So let's see if that fixes it. I will switch over. Give it a good refresh. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. That's looking a lot better. Okay. So yeah, watch out for those 1 FRs. Like, yeah, that's my problem, is I just think, oh yeah, that's what you do, but that's not always the best case. So now we have a decent header bar, and then we have our content. So now let's cinch in that content section so that it's not right up against the wall. And I think I'm going to do that with a container class, kind of like we see in Bootstrap. And so what I'm going to do is, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about it because I want to be able to squeeze in the content. You know, we could stick with the grid theme. We could just make this a grid site. Might as well, right? We're still learning. Let's do that. So on our main, this is our main element. I just want to make sure that we have, okay, actually I think that'll work still. So we're going to do a display of grid. And this time we're going to do columns instead of rows, because we want everything in main to just be in that middle section and adhere to the grid system. So yeah, I think we want grid template columns, and we're going to do 3 columns again. And let's just do the 4 rem again, the 1 FR and the 4 rem. So that could be a decent amount of space on the sides so that we're not on the bleeding edge there. I think that will work. We may see some crazy things, so let me try this out. See if it refreshes here. Oh, yep. So it just some really crazy things. So we're gonna have to either add in. Do I want to add in another piece of structure? Maybe. I think. Let's see. Well, I guess we could try, like, I think it's place items. Was it like 2? I don't know if that even makes any sense. I thought you could be able to define where they start, actually. Okay, let's do, it's not place items, it's grid. Let me show you where I'm looking. Grid. Column start. Yes. And it's 2. And then grid column end is also 2. We'll see. We'll see if this is completely destroyed or not. Okay, it's destroyed again, but we can at least double check what it's doing here. We're gonna say whoa, there we go. Let's take a look. We've got main. This is a grid, and it is putting, oh, let's see. Oh, okay. So I don't think 2 is. How do you create that? Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna take a look. This is kind of what I found. If you go to open, let's see, open props dot style. Oops. Open dash props dot style. So this is actually something I had taken notes on. This is Adam Argyle's project, I believe, and this is actually the way he did this was just using grid, and I thought this was pretty clever. So I'm gonna try and recreate that. So I'm gonna steal a little bit of his ideas here. I'm gonna look at this. So let's go back to the code, and let's get rid of my silly attempt here, because I don't think that's correct. So looking at my notes, the thing that he did was, okay, this is kind of interesting. So we're gonna select main. Yeah, I just want to make sure that's correct. And we're going to say anything that is below it, we're going to go like this. So if you hover over on VS Code, this is one of the things I love about VS Code, is kind of understanding the selectors. If you hover over that, you can see it's the stuff underneath main, so it's a child basically of main, and it's any of the children under main we're going to say is a grid column of 2, because we are going to want to make 3. We are going to have 3. We're going to have a margin, a content space, and then margin. And we're not really going to do columns either, for the most part, like columns within columns, like you would with Bootstrap. Now, main, let's see. And, yeah, let's see. Oh, you know what? That's right. Okay, so what he did was, so this is actually, we do need some more structure. I apologize. This is kind of all over the place today, but let's just add one more bit of structure to our HTML. So instead of just going straight into main, we're going to put this in a container. And this way, just in case, we can use this container as well again. And actually, ironically, it looks like we're starting to fix up some of this. Still a little bit wonky, but we'll keep going. Yeah, I think we're gonna use a container, and that way we could also use a container probably inside here, like under, like this container, because the text basically needs to be lined up, right? The text should always be in that lined up space, so not all the way at the edge at the edge of the screen, and that would include the header up top, the little legal thing. Like, we all want all of that to be moved over. And so I think if we create a container class, we can make this work. So I'm going to save that. We're going to go over back down to grid, and let's see. We're going to say container instead of main. And this is where we're going to see our display of grid, and that needs to be a class. And this is also where we're going to define the grid template columns, which, again, I'll just do the 4M, and then we could just, I don't know if the 1FR is the right way to do it, so let's do a calc of 100% minus we'll do 4M on both sides. So we're gonna go. There's gonna be 2 times 4rem because we're gonna have it on both sides. So we're saying do whatever it is 100%, but then take off those 2 columns on the side. So then I will do one more 4rem, and after that, I think that might work. So let's try restarting and refreshing. And that did not quite work how I thought it was going to. And it squished this. So, okay. And this is all squished. Oh, and that's because, let's see, did we... Let's double check here. So it's placing everything. Main should have been placed. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think that's what we did here. So I actually don't think I need this selector since, well, okay, there we go. It should have been, since we added this around it, this is no longer the top level. That's where I messed up. Okay, so let's make sure this works, and then I'll explain what the heck I just did, because that probably made no sense. Okay, so now it looks like it's almost working. We do have a little bit of overflow here, and we're side scrolling, but we'll fix that in just a second. Oh, and down here, okay, so yeah, so what I think has happened is, since we had the main originally, and then we added the container around it, and so yeah, we are defining 3 different columns. Go ahead and turn this back on so we can see. And since we had the container around it, now we can place main, since main holds everything and it's just one single element. Then we can place main inside on this 2 line, this right here. And we're getting overflow. Let's see. And then let's see why the footer is being weird too. Oh, that's because container, we probably just need to flip this around. So what I had done back here was I put it inside of footer. So I think if we just move it outside of footer, that should fix. Oh wait, it sort of fixed it, but that's right. Okay. Well, we need to fix it so that just the text is impacted. Well, and that's where we can again kind of lean on, I think, what Adam Argyle had done on his site. I'm gonna switch this back, so it's gonna be containers the inside, and then I'm gonna go, yeah. You can see how, yeah, grid really is a struggle for me still right now, and so hopefully that's encouraging. If you feel like you're way smarter than me at this point, like, good job. I'm catching up. Grid column. So yeah, I think I need to just add. Yeah, because if the column, if the container is like this, and we want anything underneath container, or if it's reversed, I don't like what I've done here. But what we can do is we can just basically copy this and put it back on the nav and the footer. And I think, let's see, what else do we need? Oh, and we also need to say nav of anything. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to refactor this. We're basically just copying container and grabbing all of this, and we're going to do the exact same selector but with the nav and the footer, and we're gonna just do grid column 2 because I am pretty confident that's gonna fix it for us. And any luck? Nope. What's the deal? Oh, there we go. Just needed to wait for a second. Okay, so now it's at least lining up. You know, this footer lines up with the card, and then up here there is margin on ULs, but it is technically lining up with the rest of the text. So yeah, we're gonna have to refactor that, but that'll be for another time, so I'm not boring you completely this time. Yeah. And you know what? I think possibly the reason why this is overflowing is actually because the links. I think the links are messing things up. They may not be because they are breaking, but sometimes. Actually, that's a good question. What is breaking it? But yeah, we'll figure this out as we go. I think we're okay for right now. I'm just gonna continue on, and then we can troubleshoot the rest of this at the end if we still have time. And yeah, so it's really janky right now. I really don't like this, just because we have a lot of duplicated code. Like, this is basically the same as this. And yeah, I mean, we can make these into variables, blah, 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 but honestly, I feel like I just need to work out the actual structure a little bit better than I had originally thought. Yeah, I'll have to rework this. But for now, let's just move on and do, let's see, we've done nav bars, page layout. Let's kind of fix up the card footers really fast, because that was something that I noticed was kind of not ideal. Like, the idea of these cards is to be able to give some quick information, and then if it has like a link to another resource or the source of that tip, you know, you can click on that. And right now it's just kind of all jumbled together, especially like on this featured tips. You can see how I've got a code snippet, and then right up against it is the link there. So let's fix that up so that just so that it looks a little bit better, it cleans things up. So we're gonna go down back to our components, into cards, and we have content already, and I want to create a footer class. This is something that Bootstrap has done, where they have basically I think it's a header content and footer, or they might call it card body. Sorry, so card header, card body, card footer, because most cards tend to have something like this, where maybe the header is the image, the body has all of this content right here, and then the footer could be this little CTA or some other little bit of information, maybe an icon or something like that. And so we're gonna do a fairly similar thing here. I think all we have to do really, let's do like a padding of 1 rem, and I only want that to be top and bottom because we already have this. Ooh, actually, yeah, it would be outside of that. So we'll just keep it at 1 rem. And then I'm going to go back up into our structure here, and let's create a card footer. And this is where we're going to say, you know, let's do like card dot CTA. So what I'm doing is this is a little bit of the Levendy work on this in this case. Actually, I might have to pull that from the data. So we're doing a little bit of a Levendy and HTML structure at the same time that we're doing some Sass. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to have that CTA pushed down into the footer. So we'll actually have to go out and remove it from the template content. And yeah, so then we would just need like a little wrap this around with an anchor tag, and then yeah, CTA, maybe we'll do like a link, CTA link, and CTA text. That way we can hide those ugly little those large URLs that are, you know, take up a lot of room. We can just hide that under some text. And so you can't quite see it yet. There's a little bit more space now, but let's go ahead and let's just add a CTA link and CTA text. I'll do it to that featured tips so that you can see that pretty well. That'll just be our example. So I think that's under, oh yeah, it's under content tips, and we're doing the how to write an email with a link. Cool. So what I've done is I'm basically saying we're going to we're going to define a CTA link here, and I'm going to take that off of this. So I'm going to put this up here. That'll be the link. And then the CTA text will be this guy. Then we can get rid of that. And let's see if this works. Okay, cool. Hey, it worked. That's really nice when that just goes. So it is kind of hard to see right now, so let's look up the structure here. You can see we have a footer, and it has put our CTA link and the text right in there just like that. So that was really nice that we could do that. I feel like that's going to make things really easy from a content perspective to just have, you know, here's a couple of things that the card is going to use. It's, you know, these things can be optional, and we can fix that as well. But that just makes it really easy to just say, you know, here's the CTA, and then if there is a footer, then it's gonna, you know, add that space and keep it a little bit separated from the content. Because now you can see this is no longer right up against this link is no longer right up against the code here. So that's a little bit of style, not too much 11D either. We're gonna go through. I'm going to have to go through and fix that on all of my cards since I just decided that that's the way to go. But the last thing I want to do is grab an if statement so that any of the cards that don't have this setting, it's not going to show the card footer because there's no reason to. So I'll just do if card.data.cta link, then show this. But if it doesn't have a CTA link defined, even if it has CTA text, if there's no link, there's no reason to have that on because it's already going to stuff it into this anchor tag. So no link, no show. And if I go back here, I want to show you what that'll look like so you can see it a little bit better, because right now some of these cards up top have this extra space at the bottom. So when I save it, you should be able to see it cinch back up. So there we go. Now it's just optional. And when we add a card CTA, then it will stick it in the correct format. So right now, again, this is just something I'm going to do on my own time so that you don't have to be bored watching me do that. But now we're looking at a pretty nice card for this one that has kind of everything on it. A title, some content, a footer, an image. This is looking pretty nice. And I think one of the other things, we might as well just bust out a couple more styles, right? I mean, we've got this pre-text, you know, it's code, so I do want it to look, you know, sort of nice. We can just add a quick style for that, and then let's tackle the buttons and the text links. And I think we should be good to go. So let's go back to our stuff here. We don't need content anymore, resources. So yeah, we're gonna go into our atoms now. Let's do buttons first. We'll do buttons first. I'm gonna create a new file here. I'm gonna call it buttons.scss, and don't forget the underscore there. And I'm gonna do the @forward quote buttons, and I think we should be good to go. Let me double check the syntax. Yeah. Okay. So now we have this forwarding, so we can use the buttons that we define here. Okay. So there's a couple of things, a couple of ways. The Bootstrap uses a .btn class and then a .btn dash primary, secondary, blah, blah, blah. So they have a couple of different colors basically that get changed, but then the .btn is kind of like a reset class, if you will, because the straight out of the box button does not look very good. I mean, it maybe looks a little bit better on Chrome, this right here, but it doesn't look that great. So so let's sometimes I feel like that's overkill, just because I'm never gonna have a button that doesn't have that reset, so I might as well just, I don't know, this is just my take on it, that we can just create our own little mix-in of a button base, and then just inherit that for all of our buttons, whether they're primary or secondary. And especially with a site like this where it's going to be pretty low key, there's probably not going to be too many. I mean, I don't even see there being a need for a secondary button. We'll make one for this just so we have it, but yeah, I just don't see that as being that important. So I'm going to start off by defining a mix-in. I'll call it the button dash base, because this is our base styles. And then what do we want? I don't think we'll really need, I don't think we need to pass anything in just yet, but I'll keep those open anyway. Yeah. So first thing is let's do padding. We'll do 1 rem. That's just a nice. That's a pretty typical padding value. I feel like for me, works pretty nicely on most things when you're not working with a real design system. Let's do a border. I do like the ghost buttons where it's just an outline, but I like it when that's the hover state. So I think we'll just do that. So I'm going to do a border of, and we'll just do, we'll do black for now. And it's going to be the exact same as the background color. So the background color is going to be black. And so it's going to be basically pointless until it's hovered on, and then it's like, oh, the background color changes, but the border doesn't. That's the reason why. And also so you don't get weird slight changes in height or width when you hover over things and it suddenly like shifts just by a pixel. It's really frustrating. So I always just do the border to match the background color, and that's what the rationale is for that. And then we can do, let's just do a border radius as well. We can do like, what have we done here? So, not 6 rem, 6 pixels. Let's see. And then I guess we would want to do color as well. So color is white. We're going to do like high contrast button here. And then I think that's it. We could do a transition too, if we can set that up. So transition will be everything 0.35 seconds. And that way when we do like hover states and stuff, that should work just fine. Okay. I think that's a decent start. So let's go ahead and start with .btn-primary. I'm just going to borrow the naming convention of Bootstrap. And on my, I should have shown you this too. I threw in some buttons just for fun, so we could code these up. Oh, and that's on, it's on the home page. So I have a link that's a button primary, and then I also have an actual button that is a button secondary. So just so that we can see the differences between the two. So this is just an A tag, and we have the styles. We can just go ahead and do that. Button primary. So we'll just include the button base, and we'll call that good. Let's see what happens when we restart the server here. And hopefully, there we go. Okay, so it is working. That's looking okay so far. I don't like the text decoration, so we probably should fix that. Text decoration, none. This is probably the only time I will do like an important tag. Actually, let's see if we don't need it. We may not need that, but text decoration, oof, I do not like underlines, just from a typographical standpoint. Okay, so we don't need an important tag, so that's even better. We don't have a hover state on it just yet. We might be able to do that in this mixin. Where was I seeing that? Let me look up my notes, because I saw this the other day in SAS and I thought it was really cool. SAS parent. I may not be able to find this one if I didn't take good notes. Okay. Well, I thought there was a really interesting way to like grab the parent selector of this. Let's just look it up. Might as well, right? Let's go SAS parent selector inside a mixin. At root. Was that it? At root. Yes, I think it's at root. We'll see if this works. This is true learning on the job. Let's see if we can do at root. And then because let's see. This may not work actually. We'll just do. That's why it would be nice if we had a button class, because I think you need to have one more selector here. Like we could do the A tag, and then I also want to make sure that's the hover. And we're gonna swap these two. I don't know if this is gonna work, so we'll give it a shot. I'm gonna restart the server. And hold on. Oh, there we go. Oh, it did work. Hey, that worked. So let's see what it did in the actual CSS here. Oh, that's weird. I don't actually see. Huh. I don't see where that's going. Should have an A style. Oh, that's really weird. Where is this hover going? Let's get the hover. There we go. Let's see if that. Okay, so it does. Okay, so that's exactly what the problem is that it put it on any A. So okay, I don't know. That makes it makes for a really interesting case of when you would need a .btn class, because this honestly makes it more dynamic. Because if we had a, let's just say we have the .btn, and then we could pass in the colors or like the primary, whatever it is, and then we have, so let me show you what I'm talking about. If we had a .btn, let's just get rid of that. This is now our button class, and then let's say we had like button primary, and we want to use a specific color scheme. That still is dang it. Ooh, I don't know how to do this now. Okay, I thought it was clear. Now it's not. Because I was thinking if we had a hover state for the .btn, then I could just pass in colors and have it swap out these for a variable. But I think the problem is then it's not a mixin. It would just be one of those, like, it should basically be pumping out the different. So I guess we could make it pump out classes, like generate them on the fly instead of me writing out a button primary class. And instead it's this would have to be not a mixin but an at each, and then give it a list of primary, secondary colors. You know what? Let's do it. Let's just redo that whole thing. Okay. All right. So we're gonna have to. I need to know when it is a primary and when it's a secondary button. That's gonna be our that's going to be an important piece of this. So I'm going to declare a button theme. I'm going to set the default equal to primary. And let's do, I do have to change this to at each, I believe. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. This is what I get for trying all these different things. Let's see. Oh, hey, I'm just noticing the chat. Thanks so much for chatting. This is awesome. I get scared on live streams because I'm like, I'm still a new creator, right? So I'm still getting a handle on it. So I really love to see the chat come in. Thanks so much. Sorry if I left you hanging there. Really appreciate it. And yeah, so let's go back in here. I'm gonna grab each. I'm gonna grab some notes here so that I can remember how this works. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is right here, we're not gonna pass this in anymore. We're going to create basically a little map, and that's gonna look like this. Is something I have written about. Obviously I'm still trying to learn it, but this is I really like this method where I'm gonna do like button themes, and I'm gonna set this equal to we're gonna do parentheses, we're gonna do primary, and let's just go ahead and say our primary is gonna be black, and then comma, and then our secondary button is gonna be a white button with a black background, but that doesn't matter. So this is going to be like our background colors, basically. That's the theme. And so, and we can do nested stuff. Like, it's really cool. I'll leave a link down below to my article about how to use like nested maps for this. Just because I think it's a really clean solution for like color theming. But we're gonna go for each theme in button themes. then we're gonna output. So this is where it gets a little crazy. Okay, so for each of these themes, primary and secondary, we're gonna output a dot button dash that theme name. And the way we do that is we're gonna say dot btn dash, and then we're gonna use the pound sign with the curly braces, and we're gonna reference the theme that we're working on. So when it's the primary, it's gonna be the theme. When it's secondary, it's gonna be theme. And then I think we can just kind of close all of this in here. And the only thing left would be repeating this part instead of just .btn. I think we can just do at the root, which means like really at the root, like bounce out of this. We're going to go back and say, throw in another style that is .btn dash the theme that we're currently on, and then we're going to substitute the theme value. Okay, so I do need to, I forgot. So the theme and then the background. So theme is going to be the key, BG should be this color, this value of this map. So now we can substitute anytime we need the background color. Let's do BG and BG. Let's see. Whoops. In this case, we'll be swapping them. We're going to say it always has a black border because we'll just keep a really simple theming system. Like I said, you can look at the article for more advanced stuff. Like if we wanted to have like a red border on the white, on the secondary, you know, it's white and red or whatever. You can do that, but that's a little more intensive than I want to go into just right now. So yeah, our border is going to stay the same, so I don't need to change that. Our background color is going to be set by whatever the theme background is. And then, well, let's see. Yeah, I guess that's the problem with something like that. I'll just have, since I know that it's primary and secondary and that's the only two, I'm just going to have, dang it. Let's see. How do we solve for the for the complexity there? Let's not do white. Let's do blue, so that white works on both of those backgrounds. Just because, yeah, this is too simplistic for worrying about contrast. So we're just gonna say the border is always black, the color is always white, but we are gonna swap the text color and the background color. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, let's just give this a shot. I'm going to save and we're going to restart this and go over to Chrome and see what happens. Let's take this off. Oh, hey. So, okay, it is styling the button. So this right here, the secondary is being styled. And same with this. That's I just think that's super cool. So it is swapping the background colors and the text colors. That's actually really nice. So all of that came from this one mixin. I just really love, not mixin, but this each statement. I think this is a really clean way to do color theming. And like I said, I keep saying this, but nested is the way to go at these nested maps. And so anyway, you'll see that in the description. I think this is super cool. It's already working. Let's fix the I want the font size to be the same because right now it's looking different. As you can see, the button is smaller for some reason. So I'm gonna refresh this. There we go. That looks much better. So now we have working buttons. We have fixed the card footers. This is awesome. Let me just double check. Let's just do, yeah, we might as well just do the I will do a really fast pre-text style. We're not going to go into like how to make the colors different for, like a text editor would. Like these are all different colors that help us understand the code, but let's just do like a super, super basic one, just to help it stand out a little bit more. I'm going to put that in atoms. Oh no, actually I could do, yeah, this is where I'm not sure. Probably base, because it's kind of a typographical thing. So I'm going to go to the bottom here. We're going to do pre, and what I'm going to do is basically just make a background color of black. The color is going to be white. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of padding just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then border radius as well. Let's do, what have we been doing? The six pixels. And if we go back here, I'll restart the server. And hey, okay, so there we go. What did I do here? Oh, it's not, it's in code. Okay, so I can add that as well. So basically our pre or our code elements are gonna have the same treatment. So it looks like I did two different semantics, which is probably not a good idea. I should probably condense those, but just for, there we go. Oh wow, that is interesting. Maybe that's why I should go with pre. Is that? Oh wow, that is very strange. Well, oh, because you know what? Code is not a full. Okay, so because pre is basically, it means pre-formatted. Whoa, I broke that. Which means that it's not necessarily for code. I'd have to look up the semantics of like really what's the difference between pre and the code tags. That's really interesting. Anyway, I'll refresh that. But yeah, I'll have to double check what the deal is and why that suddenly is working really strangely. But anyway, I think that's more than enough that we've done today. Thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate you. So good to see you all. And yeah, we'll pick this up a little bit later. Again, I'm gonna put this in the code repo down below. So it's not gonna have the content, but it is gonna have the styles that we worked on today. I'm gonna update that so you can see it for yourself and play around with it. And yeah, we'll